Shalom, shalom, family, and welcome back.
Shalom, family.
This is Brother Maurice,
And this is Blessed by Yah.
and we are coming to you with part 3 of the sounding of the 7 trumpets.
And family, if you did not see part 1 and 2, please go back and watch it.
During this video, we'll be talking about the sounding of the 7th trumpet. We will be primarily coming from Revelation chapter 10 and apart from Revelation chapter 11. And once again, we'll be using 666, Mark of America, Seed of the Beast, Revelation Unfolded, for the bulk of this information. Let's begin with Revelation chapter 10.
Revelation chapter 10, verse 1. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed as it were with a cloud in the day of rain. And he appeared as if he were covered, that all upon the earth could not see his face. And a rainbow shone from the crown which was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And from his countenance came forth a great light upon the earth.
Now, I'll be given the understanding from Revelation Unfolded. And we're starting off coming from page number 225. And the 7 trumpets to sound is an even greater threat to humankind than any of the preceding warnings. This warning gives no portent of demise, or this warning gives no sound of demise to a person's physical being. Because once a person is dead, the pain, tribulation, and torment of life is over. However, family, this final woe or final trumpet becomes the most dreaded of all because of the figurative, never-ending torment that will be experienced. It is the time when all people must face the truth of reality and judge themselves. Now, family, people are seeing many things that are happening across the world, and people are getting killed, and people are dying, and people are saying that this is the judgment of God. Family, the Father does not do those things to his children. Let's get some understanding. Once again, it says, it is the time when all people must face the truth of reality and judge themselves. This, family, will be done according to what they have allowed themselves to believe and understand, in conjunction with the way they have lived their lives and how they have done unto others. During this time, the voice of the 7th angel, the mystery of God, that has been known by all prophets and understood by the elect, will be revealed in its fullness. Christ, who is the Messiah, is the one appointed to teach us how to live at peace with each other upon the planets of this solar system, is the one who will be the voice of the 7th angel. He is the one about whom the 7th trumpet would have warned the world of his coming had it been sounded. However, John makes no indication that this final 7th angel trumpet has sounded, as he did specifically with the previous 6 angels. This final woe will come without warning when the world is least expecting it. John continues his description of the earth's cleansing by referencing the allegorical story of the great flood, which ends with a rainbow symbolizing the covenant between God and man that the earth will never be physically destroyed again. John shows his mighty angel. John only refers to this angel as mighty, coming down from heaven, which the inhabitants of the earth do not recognize. Even though it has rained upon the earth, we understand now that rain means revelation and understanding given to the world by the true prophets. The clouds of darkness have shaded it from the light of the sun. And the people do not know, nor do they understand Christ as he truly is. Family, people are waiting for Christ to return, and they believe that Christ is coming to destroy or to physically kill the wicked. Thus, John presents him as being clothed, as it were, with a cloud in the day of rain. And he appeared as if he were covered, that all those upon the earth could not see his face. When the Christ appears in glory, his power will be over all the kingdoms of the earth, represented by the crown upon his head, made of the same gems as the breastplate of judgment, in which are woven the 12 gems representing the different tribes of Israel. John figuratively expresses that when Christ's face comes from behind the cloud and is revealed to the world, it is, as it were, the sun, because of the light and truth which he shall give to the people of the earth, or the light shining through the 12 gems that create a rainbow or illumination. Wherever his feet take him upon the earth, he will bring a light to a world lying in darkness, and which will cause the people to burn or fire from within. Feet as pillars of fire. Throughout the Old Testament, the prophets used a pillar of fire to describe the Lord leading the people through the night.
Revelations chapter 10, verse 2. And he had in his hand a little book open, which contained that which was sealed from the foundation of the earth. And he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot upon the earth, even that his whole countenance did fill the earth, even that there was not a part thereof that was not filled with his light.
John presents figuratively that in Christ's return to the earth, mighty angel come down from heaven, he will assure that the instructions of what is to be done next with the earth and its people, as contained in the book of life, are being followed and completed as written therein. The expression that he set his right foot upon the sea and his left foot on the earth tells us that the whole earth will have knowledge of his arrival, and all will know that the world has been placed in his power. He will universally and recognizably establish his stance or feet as a pillar of fire.
The Third Testament, chapter 52, verse 32. The world needs my word. The people and nations need my love and teachings. The ruler, the scientist, the judge, the pastor, the teacher, they all need the light of my truth. And that is why I have come in this time to enlighten man in his spirit, his heart, and his mind.
2 Nephi chapter 25, verse 17, and the Lord will set his hand again the second time to restore his people from their lost and fallen state. Wherefore, he will proceed to do a marvelous work and a wonder among the children of men. Family, do you hear what this says? Second Nephi is saying that Christ is coming to restore his people. It doesn't say anything about killing his people or destroying people. Jacob, chapter 6, verse 2. And the day that he shall set his hand again, the second time, to recover his people, is the day, yea, even the last time, that the servants of the Lord shall go forth in his power, to nourish and prune his vineyard. And after that, the end soon cometh. Did you hear that? Christ is going to come back. He's going to give the people the tools to do the things that he required us to do. We're going to have that measuring stick, and that measuring stick will allow us to do things the way their Father wanted them done. And then that information is going to be spread across the world. And the people will begin to prune his vineyard. And after that takes place, soon will come the end. Now let's go to the book of remembrance of Moses. In Moses 1, starting at verse 6. And it came to pass that the Lord clutched the tablet of Gabriel to his chest, and he loved it. And he said what seemed to be a reference from Isaiah chapter 11 and 31. And he said, I will stand with this tablet, for it to be an ensign for my people, Israel. And I will set my hand the second time to recover the remnant of my people, which shall be left from Babylon and from the world. And I will awaken them. Family, we're starting to be awakened. I will awaken them and gather them from the four quarters of the earth. Family, he's going to be gathering us out of our wickedness. And he's going to be gathering us from the four quarters of the earth, taking us out of our wickedness. He's going to be taking us away from Satan. How's he going to do this? He's going to take us away by restoring us back to those 40 laws of Jeshurun, so we can begin to live righteously. And at this time, the awaken and gathering has already commenced. Did you hear this, family? It says, and at this time, the awakening and gathering has already commenced. And I shall assemble the outcast of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four quarters of the earth. Now let's go to the book of remembrance of Melchizedek, little book 3. Verse 85 says, and the Lord said, having revealed all this to you, I now offer my counsel and guidance to my people. It is important for my people to endure in their holiness through the tribulations. Did you hear this, family? We are going through the tribulations, but we must endure. We must continue to love like we've never loved before, family. So when I call, they are ready to answer because the call will issue forth to them to commence the great gathering in preparation for my second coming. And only my Father knows how long the gathering will last. And I want him to have all the time he needs for us to collect his people.
The Third Testament, chapter 55, verse 42. I will see to it that only those human works which have brought good fruit to men will survive, so that they may continue to be used for the good of future generations. But everything that serves a corrupting or selfish purpose will be destroyed.
Whoa, what did that say?
Everything that serves a corrupting or selfish purpose will be destroyed in the fire of my relentless judgment. On the ruins of a world created and destroyed by a materialistic humanity, a new world will arise, the foundations of which will be experienced and which will have as its goal the ideal of its spiritual upward development.
So did you see what what Sister Peggy or Blessed by Yah said? On the ruins of a world created and destroyed by materialistic humanity, a new world will arise. But listen to this, the foundations of which will be experience, because we experience so much wickedness that this new world is going to rise differently, because the people, family, will be tired of their wickedness and all the wickedness around them. Now listen to the next chapter.
The Third Testament, chapter 57, verse 36. When the dragon of your passions have been slain by your weapons of light, a new world will appear before the eyes of men. A new world, though it be the same, but it will appear more beautiful. For then men will use it for their welfare and progress, instilling an ideal of spiritualization in all their actions.
Wow.
Hallelujah. The Third Testament, chapter 56, verse 6. 4 generations after yours will still pass until my teaching spread over the world and reaps beautiful fruits.
So family, we were given understanding of the times, and half a time. And because of that, we now actually know the year that Christ is going to return. And now we understand that there is plenty of time left. When I say plenty of time, that's not in the Father's eyes, that's in our eyes. Because now I understand when Christ physically returns, because he's here in the spirit, but when he physically returns, it's going to be well after my time. Well after. Because you see, it shows us 4 generations after yours. And as you read in Revelation chapter 11, it will actually give you everything that they gave us to figure it out, this information out of the year of return, but it will also tell you the dates so that you can see this. Now, the Third Testament, chapter 3, verse 16, it says, "Blessed are they who have believed without seeing, for they are they who feel my presence." Man will discover the truth Listen how they're going to discover the truth, family. By means of his Spirit. The Holy Spirit's going to have to reveal this to you, family.
Mm-hmm.
We should not be relying on the arm of flesh.
Right, because he says all will feel my presence.
All will feel my presence. Man will discover my truth by means of his Spirit. All will feel my presence. For I have already told you at that time, Listen, family, your time is not my time, and my time is not your time.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, listen, every eye will see me when the time has come for it. When your time has come,
Right.
then you're going to be able to see also. I have already told you at that time that every eye will see me when the time has come for it, when it's your time. This is why some people can get this and others cannot. But eventually, family, we will all get this information. Now, whether we choose to act on this information is another thing. Now, this time in which you live is just that time announced by my word and my prophets of old, in which all men shall see me by means of the sensations and abilities of their spirit. Do you see how we're going to see him? All men are going to see him, but it's going to be by the means and the sensations and abilities of each individual spirit. It will not be necessary for them to see me limited in a human form to be able to say that they have seen me, but it will be enough that their spirit feels me and their mind understands me to be able to say quite truthfully that they have seen me.
The Third Testament, chapter 58, verse 7. Men will come up out of the filth and the mud and sin to the law and to virtue, and will walk in the ways of love and grace. Everywhere my spirit will be felt. Every eye will see me. Every ear will hear me. And every mind will comprehend my revelations and inspirations.
Wow. Did you hear that, family? But it's going to take place, each individual at different times.
Okay, let's go back to Revelations chapter 10, and we are at verse 3. And he opened the seventh seal, and cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roareth, and maketh all afraid. And when he had cried, it was as if 7 thunders uttered their voices.
Here, John presents figuratively, family, the ushering in or the leading the way in of the millennial reign. So, right now, we're looking at the things that are going to lead into the millennial reign. There's going to have to be a lot of learning that is going to take place with the people before we actually get into the millennial reign. So we have time, family, for everyone to begin to work on themselves and get themselves together.
Right. The key word there is themselves, for people to work on themselves.
Once Christ has established his presence, he will spread the truth to the whole earth and tell the people what needs to be done to establish the proper society so that all can experience peace, happiness, and joy. So this, family, is already taking place. This is taking place. People are already getting these words, and we're getting the instructions from Christ of the things that need to be done so that we can live and experience peace, happiness, and joy. What he will reveal to the people will be given with power and authority, causing all to submit to his rule. The seven thunders represent the loud voice of Christ. Did you hear this? The seven thunders represent the loud voice of Christ, resonating like a lion's roar throughout the seven continents of the world. Every inhabitant on planet Earth, will hear what he has to say. The Book of Remembrance of Ancient Grandmothers, Shem chapter 2, verse number 64 says, "And after the arm of the Lord is revealed, the alliance of heaven will be the central force that will allow the righteous to gather the elect and establish Ma'in over the whole face of the earth. And in this way, it can be known that once established, the alliance of heaven shall endure until Matzah returns in the clouds of heaven." Amen. Now let's go to the Book of Remembrance, little book, the Book of Remembrance of Melchizedek, little book 2, verse number 106. It says, "Because after my arm is revealed, when all flesh will behold my presence in creation, Babylon will fall, leaving no remnant. And all who depend on her," everyone is depending on Babylon, everyone is depending on Babylon, "will need compassion from my elect, even to the extent that they will receive it. And many will stumble and sit upon the ground and be dumbfounded when confronted by loving kindness, a thing which they had never known, which they have never before known." Let's pause for a second. When people can begin to feel and behold the presence of Christ, and they start to make this change, it says Babylon's going to fall. And a lot of people are depending on Babylon. People are worried right now about the situation with the tariffs. And they're worried about the food situation and what's going to happen next. They're worried about what's being done right now in our country to destroy it. That's all their focus is. But family, all this is going to have to fall. But when this stuff falls, it says these people are going to need compassion from my elect, even to the extent, family, that we are going to extend and show passion to others. It says, "And many will stumble and sit upon the ground and be dumbfounded when confronted by loving kindness," because the people thinking that Christ is about to come to destroy, that the Father is going to be killing people. And they believe that is what the judgment is. Mm-hmm. So when they begin to experience this loving kindness, they're going to be dumbfounded when confronted by loving kindness, a thing which they have never before known. And in those times, the overflowing love of my people for the unfortunate will come before the face of my Father as a sweet-smelling fragrance to bring joy and mirth to his heart. And the earth shall rest at last. And this is how you can be comforted in the 7 foundations of Shabuah.
Okay, let's return to Revelations chapter 10, and we're on verse 4. And it says, "And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write that which they spoke. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Seal up those things which the 7 thunders utter, and write them not. For these things shall not come forth until the children of men, until the end of times."
Let's go to the book of remembrance of Melchizedek in Little Book 1. And we're going to start in the middle of verse 117, because we have to understand the voice of these thunders. And the purpose of the voices of the thunders is to allow the truth to uncover the lies. Do you understand now, family, what the voices of these 7 thunders are doing? They are uncovering the lies so that agency can come to the full in the lives of both the wicked and the righteous. Did you hear this? It says so that agency. People don't understand what free agency truly means. But let's get some more understanding. The book of remembrance of Melchizedek in Melchizedek 1, verse 25. It says, "Now I will open up to you the instructions of the Lord to me, the instructions of the Lord to me regarding agency." And the Lord continued, and he said, agency by definition is a reference to the ability of a person to choose freely and intelligently which way they will go and that which they will do and how they will behave. Right now, we really don't have free agency. People believe they do, but we really don't, because most of what we are doing is being controlled. And if it's not being controlled by someone, well, it is all control. Let me just say, it's all control. There are just various levels of control. We have the government entity that controls us. The government also sets up things that govern how we live. They govern the food. The food is no longer free. You must pay for it. But they govern what's put into the food. So now the things that you eat, you don't have free agency, although you think you do. You put things into your mouth that if you really knew what you were putting into your mouth, you wouldn't. Because if you realize that agencies were set up to put things into the food that destroy you, you wouldn't eat it. But right now you eat it because you're choosing freely, but you're not choosing intelligently.
Right.
The same thing, just like going out and purchasing land. Depending on where you are, there can be restrictions on your own land. You don't have free agency on your own land. You freely purchased it, but you didn't have the intelligence to understand the do's and the don'ts. And now you realize you can't really control the things that you want to do on your own land. But this is all going to change. It's all going to change. And it says, and the purposes of the voices of the thunders is to allow the truth to uncover the lies. At this point, we are starting right now to see all the lies. So that agency can come to the full in the lives of both the wicked and the righteous. So then we can actually freely choose which way we will go. Now, let's continue back to Little Book 1. It says, verse 117, the wicked will lose their dominion over the earth because they're controlling everything. And the righteous will inherit the new heaven and new earth. And because of the truth being thus declared with inescapable clarity, all the people of the nations can choose by purposeful decision which way they will go, and then, and then, and then the consequences of the sins of Babylon can rightly bring to them the judgments of God. And there will be much division between the light and the darkness. And it will be a day that my people must not walk in the way of the world, nor walk hand in hand with the Decadarchi. And they must come out of Babylon, so they do not receive the same consequences of sin as the world does. And I will lead them in the way to establish themselves in Ma'in. Now let's go back to Revelation Unfolded to get some further understanding. All true prophets of God know what is going to occur during the millennial reign of Christ upon the earth. You know what they also know? They know what's going to happen leading up to the millennial reign. They know the time frame, the procedure, and all the processes and changes that must take place in order to change a world of chaos and inequality, characterized by humans who do not do unto others as they would have others do unto them, into one of peace and order. John is relating that he was shown what was going to occur, those things which the seven thunders uttered, but was not allowed to explain to the people in his day in plainness. One of the main reasons why he was not allowed to write what specifically takes place leading up to the millennial and during the millennial reign is because mortals were not to be given this information at that time. Denying them the truth of these things would allow them the opportunity to experience the full effects of not living the way they should, so that when they are shown the proper way to live by Christ, they will awaken and realize the truth and effectiveness of his teachings and his instructions. So now, the voice of the seven thunders is soon to speak.
Let's look at Revelation chapter 10, and we're at verse 5. And the mighty angel, which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth, lifted up his hand to heaven, and sware by him that liveth for ever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which there are therein, that there should be time no longer, for the times and half a times have passed. And thus I heard the voice of the seven thunders speak.
In this explanation, John sees Christ in the attitude of swearing an oath to the Father that his work will now be done on earth as it is in heaven. His symbolism is borrowed from Daniel. The Father's work is to fulfill the covenant that he has made with all of us who are created by him, who are guaranteed that we will eventually experience joy and happiness forever as we exercise our free agency according to our individual desires. God, family, does not create beings just to leave them in circumstances that would force them to experience suffering and torment without an end, as humans now do upon the earth. We were created to experience the ultimate balance of nature, happiness. Since this happiness comes from our relationships with each other and also our ability to interact with our surrounding environs, the covenant Christ is swearing to uphold, or lifted up his hand, is that he will create the proper environment, both socially and physically, so that in the end, we can fulfill the measure of our creation and live in peace and happiness eternally. The earth has gone on long enough experiencing the effects of the locusts and the horsemen and their horses. These times of turmoil have been presented figuratively in their proper timetable as understood by the prophet Daniel, and thereafter borrowed by John as the times, and a dividing of time. A thorough explanation of time, times, and half a time will be given in the commentary of chapter 11. So, family, in order to understand that information, you will need to have this book. And you will need to read Revelation chapter 11. Although we are giving you the information from the seventh angel that is blowing his trumpet, we are giving you just that information. So we will not be covering that information. There is a video, however, in one of the podcasts that explain the times, and the dividing of time. But you will need to go back and watch the video. But I highly recommend that you go and read the book in chapter 11. Now, Christ will end these times of turmoil by revealing the truth to the inhabitants of the world, according to the established timetable, unless that timetable is shortened in righteousness. Did you hear that, family? Unless that timetable is shortened in righteousness. So now a lot of people are saying, oh man, the days are going by real fast. He's shortening the time for us. Family, they don't understand. They're clueless. They're clueless. The timetable that is going to be shortened is the final 315 years. And if the world can be established in righteousness before that 315 years is up, then Christ can shorten the timetable in righteousness. He can shorten the remaining of that 315 years. Because the inhabitants of the earth have become righteous on their own accord. So right now, Christ is here in the spirit, and he's given us all this information. And now it's up to us to live righteously. The truths that he is actually teaching us right now will finally set humankind free from all the falsehoods and deceptions and have continually beset them. They will also be relieved from the stings and torments delivered by unrighteous leaders who know nothing of the reality of God's covenant of everlasting peace and happiness, which is the mystery of God. Now, the seventh angel is sounding.
Let's go back to Revelation chapter 10, and we're in verse 7. But in the days of the voice of the seventh trumpet, when it shall begin to sound, then shall the mysteries of God be revealed, as he hath declared to his servants, the prophets.
So now, family, with all this information that has been relieved, the mystery of God has been revealed. During the days of Christ, the people of the earth will finally receive the truth concerning the heavens, the earth, and all there is to know about who they are, why they are, and how they came to exist? Unfortunately for the world and its mighty leaders, with their great advancements in science and technology, their pretended knowledge, their religions, their spiritual divinations and imaginations, all these locusts will be revealed for what they truly are: foolish and selfish mortals who imagine these things up in their hearts to satisfy the lust of their flesh. There are no mysteries to those who know the truth and reality. Mysteries, theories, speculations, vain imaginations, perceptions, opinions, and beliefs are invented by those who do not know how, why, and when life came into existence. Science's never-ending determination to try to understand and explain reality leads its followers in a constant race that will continue until one who actually knows what reality is appears to teach those who seek truth. The prophet, to whom the entire world will listen when the voice of his trumpet sounds. So who's that mighty angel that is sounding his voice? That is Christ. The prophet, to whom the entire world will listen when the voice of his trumpet sounds, is not like the religious and secular leaders of the world. This prophet does not want to be worshipped or set up above another, but considers himself a servant to all. The mystery of God will no longer be a mystery. The mystery of God shall be revealed when the truth is finally brought to the world. And by this truth, we shall all be set free from the chains of hell with which the whole world is bound.
Revelations chapter 10, verse 8. And the voice which I heard from heaven spake upon me again, and said, Go and take the little book, which was sealed with the seventh seal, and is now open in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea and upon the earth.
Okay, family. We have these 7 trumpets that have been sounded. And during the sounding of the 7th trumpet, we see the opening of the 7 seals. Now, the opening of these 7 seals are the 7 declarations of Matzah, the voice of the 7 thunders. Now, the first is the first declaration. It says, my first declaration of the truth is that the covenant between righteous mankind and the Erkadeshi of creation has once again come into effect upon the earth. That's done. Because now people are understanding that we need to make a covenant with heaven, and that covenant includes the holy watchers, who are the Erkadeshi. Now let's go into Little Book 3, verse number 23, and it says, this declaration, this is the first, by Matzah, unsealed the truth that nations and leaders of nations cannot be trusted to provide security and prosperity to their people, and that these 2 needs of the people can only come when the loving kindness of Anokasi is the sovereign nation of mankind, and the Erkadeshi together. Let's look at the second seal, the second declaration. And Mozart continued and said, and my second declaration of the truth is that speaking of myself, the presence of the man in element and the order of Melchizedek has the power to define the gift of life and the definitions they hold according to the second decree of creation. Back to the book of remembrance of Melchizedek, Melchizedek 2. The second decree of creation is that all the doings, pay attention family, all the doings of creation and all the affairs of salvation must be done by man.
By who?
By man. Through the power of the intervention of their agency. You must do this. No one else can do it for you. Mm-hmm. You must choose to use your free agency to follow the ways of the Father. Little Book 3 gives us more information. The second declaration of Mozart unsealed the truth that the purpose of Anoka seed in creation alone can bring human dignity and freedom for all peoples.
Some people?
All people. And the Erkadeshi will turn in one accord to come to the aid of the righteous. People, it's important that you begin to learn and understand and seek out the Erkadeshi, especially with everything that's going on in the world. The third seal, the third declaration. And my third declaration of the truth is that all people will now have the Father and God of their choosing. Let's go to Little Book 3, verse 43. This third declaration by Mozart unsealed the truth that his fulfilled vision is the only source of salvation and redemption and the way to the peace of being in the loving arms of our Father Anoka seed. The fourth seal, the fourth declaration. And my fourth declaration of truth is that only those who diligently seek and find their visions of created purpose and embrace the delight Anoka seed had to create them will have their eyes fully open to see the truth in tribulation times. Let's go to Little Book 3, verse 55. It says, this fourth declaration of the truth unsealed the truth that the gift of life for man arises out of the vision of your perfect self in the forgiveness emanating from the man that Mozart became for us in Shabua. The fifth declaration, and my fifth declaration of the truth, is that the signs for the limits of the tolerance of the powers of heaven concerning the four orders of creation are penetrating into the abodes of the evil. But for the righteous, this voice of thunder spoke to them of their hope at last. And now, with the spirits of death being separated from the spirits of life, and the sounds of death casting out from among them, enabling the sounds of life to be magnified in their hope in Anoka seed, will be magnified. And they will be endowed with great power from on high to bless the God of heaven.
The Third Testament, chapter 18, verse 61.
Bless.
To bless means to saturate. Blessing is to feel the good, to say it, and to pass it on. Blessing is to be endowed, all that surrounds you with thoughts of love. Verily I say to you, love is the unchanging power that moves the universe. Love is the origin and meaning of life.
So now we see that we are to bless God of heaven. And now you have more understanding. So now you must saturate everything with love. You must feel it. You must show it. Because why? Love is the origin and meaning of life, family. Now, this declaration and the sight of these things opened up to mankind the true value of peace and loving kindness. And in this way, when it was too late, wholesome goodness will become known by those who cannot achieve it. And the evil ones repented not, nor would they turn aside from pursuing their evil ways. But for the righteous, this voice of thunder spoke to them of their hope at last. And now, with the spirits of death being separated from the spirits of life, and the sounds of death cast out from among them, enabling the sounds of life to be magnified, their hope in Anokasi will be magnified, and they will be endowed with great power from on high to bless the God of heaven. The sixth seal, the sixth declaration. And my sixth declaration of the truth is that all the righteous, is that all the inhabitants, let's say that again. The sixth declaration of the truth is that all the inhabitants of the fourth station of heaven are prepared and ready to be fully obedient to the holy instructions from Giara, and the Erkadeshi are poised and ready to fulfill all they are called upon by Michael to do in creation. Let's continue with that sixth declaration. This sixth declaration, but to all the righteous the truth, that Anokasi will cause his voice to be heard, and it cannot be diminished by evil. And the saints will find instruction from on high, and their loving Father will comfort them. But in the end, Lucifer will abandon his own, having led them to a place of emptiness and shame. And there will be a complete separation between the righteous and the wicked. Now the seventh seal, or the seventh declaration. And my seventh and last declaration of the truth is that only those voices of those joined with the holiness of the covenant will be heard in heaven or upon the earth. Did you hear what this says? If you haven't tried to become knowledgeable of the Erkadeshi, then you are not part of the alliance of heaven. And here it shows that only the voices of those joined with the holiness of the covenant will be heard in heaven or upon the earth. And the seventh declaration will uncover the truth that Shabuah will be the glory of Anokasib in his triumph as our Father. And an all-encompassing righteousness will flow out and spill over to cover the earth. And Shabuah will be the watchword of heaven. And the sweet sounds of life will issue forth from every dwelling place of the people of Anokasib, leaving the lies and deceptions of the sons of darkness no remnant. And all that which was sealed will be forevermore opened, and the truth will abound. And now the wicked will have lost their ability to determine the future course of the world. And the day of their dominion will end at last, and be brought to mind no more. And Babylon the great city of the nations is fallen, and is no more. And her smoke will rise up and dissipate, leaving no inheritance for those who dwelt with her. Book of Remembrance of Melchizedek, little book. It says, and at last the seals will be loosened before the hearing and eyes of all people, never to be sealed again forever. And all who hear the truth must choose to cling to it or reject it.
Okay, let's go back to Revelations chapter 10, verse 9. And I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand, and I ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. For that which I read brought much joy to my soul. But as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter.
Prophets are fed the knowledge and understanding of the eternal plan of God. Though it has always been the same, this plan is unknown to the mortal world because of the inability of the human brain to recollect the recorded experiences in the molecules that make up their spirits. This fleshly brain is the veil through which most mortals cannot see or remember, while in mortality. The reason for this veil is so that we will have the opportunity to experience the opposite of God's eternal plan and of happiness. If we could consciously recall everything our spirits have recorded throughout the eons of millenniums we have existed, we would not be prone to experience the bad because we would know better. The veil, family, allows us to live without a sure knowledge of God so that we may become who and what we really are according to our individual desires of happiness and not what we think God expects us to become. In other words, most people are good when a spotlight is on them and when they are told everything they should do, but the true nature of the individual souls will shine when they are left to themselves with nobody else around who might influence them to be someone they really are not. This sure knowledge and instruction is only given to some prophets who are to perform specific missions. There are many other prophets and righteous men who become knowledgeable by listening to others who have been given the physical ability to know the mysteries of God. John was chosen to prepare a revelation that would reveal to the people of the world what has happened on this earth and what would take place in the latter days. He received this knowledge from the mouth of Christ and prepared it in such a way that the mystery will remain hidden until the right time. Today is that time. This book is that venue. And this book is the one that we're coming from. 666, Mark of America, Seed of the Beast, Revelation Unfolded.
Revelations chapter 10, verse 11. And he said unto me, Thou must prophesy again before many peoples, and nations, and tongues, and kings.
So John, family, must prophesy again. Now we have to get some understanding about what's taken place with John. Because when we read in the Bible, we see that he was beheaded. When we read in the Third Testament, we see that he died. But let's get some understanding. And after you get this understanding, you can use your free agency and figure out what's going on with John. Now, in John, the 21st chapter, starting at the 21st verse, Peter, seeing him, said to Yeshua, Lord, what shall this man do? Yeshua said unto him, If I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? Follow thou me? Then went this saying abroad among the brethren, that disciple should not die. Yet Yeshua said not to him, He shall not die, but if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? This is the disciple which testifieth of these things, and wrote these things. And we know that his testimony is true. Verse 25. And there are also many other things which Yeshua did, the which, if they should be written, every one, I suppose, that even the world itself cannot contain the books that should be written. Amen. Now, when you have time, family, and if you read the Gospel of the Holy 12 in Lection 89, verse 11 and 12, you know what you're going to see? The same exact thing that we have in the Bible, that Peter is asking Christ about John being able to tarry until Christ comes again. Now in Luke chapter 9, verse 27 and 28, it said, Christ says, But I tell you of a truth, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the kingdom of God. And it came to pass, about 8 days after these sayings, he took Peter and John and James and went up to a mountain to pray. Now, let's take a look at the Acts of the Three Nephites, chapter 2, starting at verse number 3. Because we see that John is allowed to tarry, and also there are two others that are allowed to tarry with John. Mm-hmm. But guess what? when Christ came to this continent, there were 3 others that asked for the same thing that John asked for, and they asked if they could tarry. And the reason these want to tarry is because they want to try to bring as many souls to the Father as possible. Now, Acts of the 3 Nephites, chapter 2, verse 3 says, "And turning unto the 3 of us, he said unto us, Do not worry about that which ye desire in your hearts. Behold, I know your thoughts, and you wished that which John, my beloved, that hath followed me in my ministry, desired of me." He's saying you wanted the same thing. And this is what he says in verse 4. "Therefore, you are more blessed, for you will never taste the bitterness of death, but you shall live from generation. You shall live from generation to generation, to see all the works of the Father among the children of men, till all things be fulfilled according to the will of the Father. When I come in my glory with the powers of heaven among my people in earth." Verse 5. He's talking to the three Nephites. "You therefore will never suffer the pains of death. But when I come in my glory, you will be transformed in the twinkling of an eye, from your mortality to immortality. And then shall ye be blessed in the kingdom of my Father. For how much you will not suffer the pains of death, while ye abide in the flesh, except for the sins of the world. And all this I will do by virtue of what you have asked of me, because you have desired to bring the souls of men, to me, as long as the world exists." Let's go to Doctrines and Covenants, section 7, starting at verse number 1. "And the Lord said unto me, John, my beloved, what desireth thou? For if thou shalt ask what you will, it shall be granted unto you. And I said unto him, Lord, give unto me power over death, that I may live and bring souls unto thee. And the Lord said unto me, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, because thou desirest this, thou shalt tarry until I come in my glory, and shalt prophesy before nations, kindreds, tongues, and people. And for this cause the Lord said unto Peter, If I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? For he desired for me that he might bring souls unto me, but thou desirest that thou mightest speedily come unto me in my kingdom. Verse 5, I say unto thee, Peter, this was a good desire, but my beloved has desired that he might do more, or a greater work yet among men, than what he has before done. Yea, he has undertaken a greater work. Therefore, I will make him as a flaming fire and a ministering angel. He shall minister for those who shall be heirs of salvation, who dwell on the earth. And I will make thee, listen what he's making Peter, I will make thee to minister for him and for thy brother James. And unto you three, I will give this power and the keys of this ministry until I come. James, Peter, and John. Verse number 8. Verily I say unto you, you shall both have according to your desires, for ye both joy in that which ye have desired. Now let's go to 3 Nephi, chapter 28, starting at verse number 6. Now, Christ is in the Americas, and he is talking to the 3 Nephites. And he said unto them, Behold, I know your thoughts, and ye have desired that thing which John my beloved, who was with me in my ministry, before that I was lifted up by the Jews, desired of me. Therefore, more blessed are ye, for ye shall never taste of death, but ye shall live to behold all the doings of the Father. But ye shall live to behold all the doings of the Father until the children of men, even until all things shall be fulfilled according to the will of the Father, when I shall come in my glory with the powers of heaven. Verse 8. And ye shall never endure the pains of death, but when I shall come in my glory, ye shall be changed in the twinkling of an eye, from mortality to immortality. He says, when I shall come in my glory, ye shall be changed in the twinkling of an eye. He's talking to the 3 Nephites, family. And then shall ye be blessed in the kingdom of my Father. Verse 9. And again, ye shall not have pain while ye shall dwell in the flesh. Ye shall not have pain while ye shall dwell in the flesh, neither sorrow, save it be for the sins of the world. And all this will I do because of the thing which ye have desired of me. For ye have desired that ye might bring the souls of men unto me, while the world shall stand. Now, let's take a look at the seal portion, chapter 8, starting at verse 45. Because we knew from the Bible about John, but now we're finding out about James, we're finding about Peter. Now these 3 Nephites, let's see if it says anything here in the seal portion, chapter 8, starting at verse 45. And there shall be others who are not exalted, even those 3 apostles who were among those whom the Lord called forth when he visited my people in the land of Bountiful. That's in the Americas. Verse 46. And these 3 shall be upon the earth until the end of time, and they shall not be known among men, having hidden themselves from the sight of men all the days of their lives. Verse 47. Now I say hidden, because they disguise themselves and act in a way that others shall not discover who they are, so that they might oversee the work of the Lord in all things in the latter days. Verse 48. And my Father was forbidden to write their names in the record that was unsealed. But in this record, their names are given. And these are the brother of Nephi, who is named Timothy, whose body was transformed at the time he was raised from the dead by the word of Nephi. Okay, let's pause for a second, because I know people are being confused because what it's saying here. Let me read this again. And these are the brother of Nephi, whose name Timothy, whose body was transformed at the time he was raised from the dead by the word of Nephi. Now we're going to come back to this, but keep that in the forefront of your mind.
Okay.
And also Mathoni. Mathoni and his brother Mathoniah. And his brother Mathoniah. Yea, these are those apostles who remain upon the earth in a state of mortality, but cannot grow old, having received this blessing according to the desires of the Lord. So now, we talked about Nephi's brother, whose name is Timothy, who was transformed at his time he was raised from the dead by the word. Now let's get some understanding, because people are thinking that he actually died.
Right.
But let's take a look at Matthew chapter 10, the restored version, verse number 8. It says, "Behold, I am the way, the truth, and the light. Even those things which I have given unto you shall heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, and cast out devils. And these things you shall do to their souls, in similitude of what I have done unto their bodies." Did you hear that, family?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're seeing in Matthew chapter 10, that these things are being done to their soul. So what Nephi did by giving his brother Timothy the word, he actually raised him from the dead. Now let's go to the sealed portion. Chapter 99, verse number 34. "And Timothy and Madoni, and Timothy and Madoni and Madoniah have taken the plates of Nephi, and also the record of the brother of Jared. And I have still with my person these plates, which my father and I have made with our own hands, and also the interpreters, which I have used to read the great words of the brother of Jared, and which shall be used to translate this word. But except for these things, I have none of the records with me." Verse 35. "Behold, if the Lamanites were to find me and these records, then they would destroy them. And for this reason, family, Timothy and Madoni and Madoniah have taken the records of my people, and will do with them what the Lord shall command them. And I know that they shall hide them up, so that they shall not be discovered, until the Lord shall call for them in his own due time, to prove to the children of men that all of his words are true, which have been written by my father and me." So now we see the three Nephites, and we also know their names, and you can read about them in the sealed book of Moses, or the sealed book of Mormon, in the section called the Acts of the Three Nephites. So I read to you out of Luke chapter 9, verse 28 to 29. I read also verse 27 to 28. I also read a little bit from 3 Nephi chapter 28, and some of those highlight verses. No, did I read out of 3 Nephi? No, I did not. Hold on, I'm going back and double checking. Yeah, I read a little bit out of 3 Nephi chapter 28. But when you have time, go back and read it, and pay particular attention when you read the whole chapter, because it's really important. You're going to see something spectacular when you read the whole chapter. But pay attention to verses 7, 4 through 10, and verse number 12. Now, one more thing that I want you to read is read 4 Nephi chapter 1 and look at verse 14 and verse 37. Because you have to understand this tarry till I come. Right now we see 6 people that are tarrying. Now let's go back to Revelation Unfolded. And we're going to drop back to page number 55. Because we have to understand, John is tarrying, even though we've been made to believe a lot of other things. Now listen and pay attention to the time frame. Because we understand now that John the Baptist, John the Beloved, John the Revelator are all the same person. Revelation Unfolded, page 55. The Apostle John was alive when Christ was upon the earth, carrying a lamp as he journeyed with Christ in the darkened land. John filled it with the oil he received from his natural vine. For hundreds of years, John covered his lamp as he lived among the earth's inhabitants. Did you hear this? For hundreds of years, John covered his lamp. Like a golden candlestick on which a flame still burns after hundreds of years, John's lamp remains lit. It would light the world if it were not hidden among a group of writings accepted by the masses as a source of all truth. It has become known as the Book of Revelation. His lamp is unable to give its light and warmth because of the dark robes and dark suits worn by the religious leaders who stand in front of it, keeping the people from seeing its light. Now, the books of the New Testament were not selected, edited, and collated until hundreds of years after the death of Christ. John was still alive then, and in disguise. John visited those responsible for the canonization of the Bible. His writings were profound. They gave the editors a different view of Christ's ministry than that which had been passed down from one generation to the next. John also delivered his manuscript for his revelation to the editors, knowing they would never comprehend its meaning because of the symbolic and metaphorical way in which it was written. In this way, John maintained the integrity of the manuscript for hundreds of years. Now let's go back to where we were in Revelation Unfolded, page 246. And it says, as previously explained, the New Testament was not edited or collated until hundreds of years after the death of Christ. John was still alive then, and in disguise visited those responsible for the canonization of the Scripture. His writings were profound, and he gave the editors a different view of Jesus' ministry than what had been passed down from one generation to the next. John also delivered the manuscript for his revelation, which he knew the editors would never understand because of the symbolic and metaphorical way in which it was written, thus maintaining its integrity for hundreds of years. It is this same John who edited and instructed the compilation of this book, revealing for the first time his exact words and their meanings. John's reference point for this part of his revelation is the year 570 AD. It was at this time he was instructed to stop preaching the gospel of Christ to the people, especially to his own people, the Jews. John was commanded to seal up the things which he heard. He did so in the figurative expressions, metaphors, and allegories he presented in the book of Revelation. He knew that no one, without the proper authority and physical changes required in the memory and thinking capabilities of the brain, would be able to unlock the mystery of his words, unless that person was given the same book to eat, the same mission to perform, that was given to him. Furthermore, John's message was set to come forth in plainness. John's message was set to come forth in plainness in the latter days by his own mouth. In other words, John himself would guide the unveiling of his written revelation. He would do this by directing the one who would be given the authority to do so under his supervision. This book fulfills the commandment given to John that he must prophesy again to the entire world. John was commanded to seal up the things which he heard. He did so in the figurative expressions, metaphors, and allegories he presented in the book of Revelation. He knew that no one with the proper authority and physical changes required in the memory and thinking capabilities of the brain would be able to unlock the mysteries of his words, unless that person was given the same book to eat. Sound familiar? The same mission to perform that was given to him. Furthermore, John's message was set to come forth in plainness in the latter days. Okay, we are now hearing the seventh angel sound.
Revelations chapter 11, verse 15. And when the seventh angel sounded, there were great voices in heaven saying, "The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our God and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever."
These same great voices in heaven are the same great voice from heaven that testified of the truthfulness of the prophet's words. The voice is considered a sure spiritual or emotional confirmation of the truth. In other words, the people are left without any doubt as to who this anointed one, his Christ, is. And by a unanimous voice, they sustain him as their God.
Revelations chapter 11, verse 16. And the 24 elders which sat before God on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped God.
These are the prophets of God as explained in the preceding chapter. Do you hear this? This here 24 elders, these 24 elders that they're talking about in the book of Revelation. These are the prophets of God as explained in the preceding chapter, and whose written words John has represented in this part of his revelation as the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the altar of God upon the earth. Therefore, it makes sense that the culmination of this part of John's figurative presentation would end with these prophets, or 24 elders, worshiping before the throne of God.
Revelations chapter 11, verse 17. Saying, "We give thanks, O Lord God Almighty, which art, and was, and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power, and hast sent thy Christ to reign upon the earth.
The prophets are elated that the power of humankind has been taken from the men and given to someone who can control the power and use it for the good of all people. For thousands of years, humans have been allowed to exercise their free will upon the earth and do with the earth what they please. But in the end, this power will be given to him for whom it was meant, one who does not lead but serves all equally.
Revelations 11, verse 18. And the nations were angry because he has come, and the time of the dead has come, that they should be judged as the living, and they shouldeth give reward unto thy servants and prophets, and to the saints, and to them that reverence thy name, both small and great, and shouldest destroy the power of them who destroy the earth.
The inhabitants of the earth will not be happy when their illusory world has been turned upside down. Those who have been judged by the precepts and doctrines of men will now be judged in righteousness according to how they have treated their fellow men. Do you see how the judgment's going to happen? They're going to be judged in righteousness according to how they have treated their fellow men. The reward the prophets, saints, and those who revere the name of Christ will receive is peace and happiness. Those who wield unrighteousness, those who wield unrighteous dominion and power over others will lose their power.
Revelations chapter 11, verse 19. And the temple of God was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. And there were lightnings, and voices, and thunderings, and an earthquake, and a great hail.
When it is opened, or when the people understand what the kingdom or temple of God actually is, they will see with new eyes of understanding. The Ark of the Covenant, or the Ark of his Testament, which anciently contained the written words of the prophets, the two candlesticks or the two witnesses, the main theme of this part of John's revelation.
Hallelujah.
So, family, what we see now with these 7 trumpets, we can see that 6 of the trumpets have already sounded. And we are starting to go into the 7th trumpet. So we've got a lot of information and a lot of understanding now about these 7 trumpets. And we pray that you, family, are able to receive this message.
Yes, yes.
So thank you, family, for coming by.
Thank you so much for joining us, family.
We love you and we appreciate you all.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing you on the next lesson.
Shalom. We love you, family.
Shalom. Shalom,
Shalom.
family.